Okay, let's strip this rock shaft. Strip all the lift cover out and see what we got. It's in pretty poor condition, I can see. Looks like the push rod's broken. The piston went sideways and broke the lift cylinder. But we'll just pop him apart. And what I've done to start off with is on the back here, there's a draft nut that comes around the back, and there's a little screw with a pallet that holds it in place, you know, stop it from turning once you've adjusted it. I think you need a 532, yep, 532 Allen key for undoing that. You just need to back it out of the way. I've taken that out and sprayed inox, CRC, penetrate, all that sort of stuff in there just to see if I can move the damn thing. That's going to give us some trouble. I tried to loosen everything off before I started filming just to make it a little bit quicker, but this here, where you pull the draft spring out, I've bashed it all around the end there to try and jar it free. Nothing. I've taken, just get a punchy, I've taken big punches down through here to try and jar it free. Nothing. I've tapped it gently around here and nothing. So what I'll probably do is get the oxy torch, get the oxy going, and I'll try and heat that nut up. There's nothing in there we can damage. There is a spring, but we have another one, and we'll see how we go. Now, a lot of the parts that are hatted in this, I'll show you later on that the 35 that we've been pinching all the gearbox parts out of, it had a good rock shaft on it, but instead of just putting it on, we're going to strip it. We're going to use the 65 housing, and I've gone through every part number. I've printed out both sheets from the 65 and the 35, and there is so many interchangeable parts here, it's great. So to start with, we have a 532 there. Well, I've loosened that off. There's a 532 Allen key down inside here, and what that does, it just holds the pivot shaft in that holds this lever and that in. So we might just try and undo that now, as in, and it's about just loosening it off really. So no, it's not going to like that. I may see if I've got a socket one and get in there with that. There we go. That's abuse, isn't it? That's this Renegade brand Allen keys from Trade Tools. These are good gear. There's the full set right up to 3/4. But man, you can give them some curry. I've never had one break yet. So, not sponsored or anything, I just like it. Okay, so we'll back that out. I wasn't going to take it right out really, just back it out so that when we come to doing the shaft there, we're okay. And there's another Allen key here, and this is a 3/16, and there's a countersunk screw here that locates the quadrant. Oh boy. So what we do in such cases, sometimes a jar will do the whole trick. So a punch with a big end on it. A couple of sharp smacks. Oh, there we go. That was tight too. So we've loosened those fellas off. I've also, at the end of the arms here, there's 2 bolts that hold this arm on, and they have lock tabs, just for speeding up the video a little bit. I've taken those off, I've unfolded the lock tabs and loosened the bolts here, so there's the lock tabs there, and the bolts, and the washer that holds it all in place. I haven't really got a box as yet to put all this stuff in. I probably should smarten my act up a bit. So that there should just slide off. This has had oil leaking out of it, so it's not too bad. Sometimes you really got to give them some curry to get them off. So that's yep, looking good. There's not a lot of wear in the end of these holes here, so it doesn't look like we'll have to do a lot of work on them. I'll pop that one off that side. I'll pop this other fella off this side. There we go, and this one's a bit tighter, and that's good. That's a good thing. Oh, I can't quite get him just yet. There we go. That's the same, very little wear in the holes here. The splines are good, like it was nice and tight on there, so that can go down there. Now, I'll put that down with that one. Now that shaft has to come out of this piece here. So there's a bush that's coming out, and sometimes they'll move, sometimes they won't. I'll just grab a shaft and show you. So this is the new shaft that we're fitting. Now there's no real need to worry about the splines. See that you have a master spline there? There's a couple of broken splines there. Yeah, we have a master spline here, a master spline so it goes in the right place there, and a master spline here, and it's the same size all the way through by the looks. I'll just check. That's right to the bottom of the spline. And look, this side is a little fatter, so how we would work out which was which, I just would not be sure. I imagine it would be in that way, so that the crank here is on the splined section. So I imagine it would probably come out this other way, would be a reasonable assumption. So I'll slide that up over there. So we'll wind our stand over and see if there's any chance of us getting that out. Sometimes if we're saving the shaft, I put some bolts in there, but we're not saving this. I don't care how it goes. Don't care if we wreck it. Okay, quite a bit of time's passed. I have got the shaft out, and you can see with these shafts, that's where this bell crank, for want of a better word, sits on the spline, and you can see it's got broken splines in here. They're not fresh brakes, so She's had some stress in its life. There's the main spline. This one's got some broken splines at the end, older ones, and this end looks okay. But you can see the bushes sit in the housing here, and then there's an O-ring in between. So you can see where the O-ring sat and where the two bushes sat at this end. So there's a bush there, an O-ring and another bush. And you can see at the state of how these bushes are, and the rusty patch where the O-ring sits, that it's no longer serviceable. Now, we had a broken bush, looks like an old break, so that's okay. We have new ones there. So yeah, so that's the old shaft. That's ready for the scrap bin. Even if you put new bushes there and filled it with grease, that'll just chew out the new bushes quite quickly. I've got no idea what the 35 one will be like, but we do have a new shaft, so I'll just put that down there with the mess. I'm getting a bit of a nest and a mess down here. So I've pulled this pin out. I've pulled the bolt out to remove the quadrant, and it says in the manual about line up the dots. I can't see the dots on mine, so I've just had a look and tried to make sure that the rollers aren't rubbing on anything and they're just within the circumference of this here. So we'll give this a bit of a heave ho if we can. The quadrant actually looks to be in pretty good order. We'll put a bit of penetrate there and there. Yeah, the housings are nice and straight. I'll just check that I'm not binding anywhere. That should be good. So we haven't got a roller sitting in there. We haven't got one sitting in there. That should come out, no worries. I think we're okay. She's just a bit firm. There we go. Oh. Beautiful. Okay. We'll take that over to the bench later and we'll go through all this. Like all these rollers are slopping around. This roller here, slopping around like a cock in a sock. But yeah, we'll strip all this out. But it does look pretty good. Bit of a twist here, but that's nothing. And yeah, look at that. That's in pretty good order considering what else. Bit of a bend up here, but that's okay. Put that down here where I've got my little nest. So what we might do now is roll it over. I've loosened the bolts for the lift cylinder. I'll just take the last one off. These look to be 9/16, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, the bolts are out. And there's the cylinder out. So one of the bolts has come out here, that's no worries. But we'll be pulling these bolts out, inspecting them. If they're okay, we'll use them again. These rods and levers here, you can see there's a really sharp edge there where the roller's been running crooked. And there's a groove there where that's been sitting too. So they'll probably all get replaced. We'll pop this over on the bench later and we'll pop that apart. Now there's a little O-ring in there. If I can find a little O-ring pick there. There we go. So what can happen is if the lift cylinder comes loose or you've undone the bolts wrongly and started the tractor, you can blow that O-ring out, and it doesn't matter how tight you do that again, you're not going to have anything to work with. So I don't think this will come out yet. No. So these other parts here, they feel like they're stuck solid, but that's all right. So we need to wind him over. Now just there's an Allen head screw there. I'll try and give him a blowout if I can. So we can get an Allen key in. I'll get the big punch and give him just a quick jar there. And what size would that be? That's 3/8. It looks like about 5/16 really. .5/16 it is. Oh, that was easy. So that's just a blanking plug there, and what that does, if I fold him over again, we pull this Allen key out of in there that holds that shaft in, and I don't think there's a Allen key this side to bump it through with. No, there's not. So that main shaft, I might shift you around. So you can see the head of the shaft there that holds this, that's all supposed to pivot in, and with none of that wanting to pivot, I'm expecting that to be locked in solid like everything else has been so far. Well, this one's moving okay. This one, he's supposed to move as well. And perhaps if we... Oh, I've got some junk on the floor now, I'll tell you. Yeah, so this whole setup here, we'll see if we can get it to pivot. So that may help. Bit of penetrate down the hole. Now in theory, if you read the book, this would just pull out. Okay, look, I'm happy with that. So if we can get this to move now, that'll be a major. Can I come in down there onto the head? Oh yeah. hopefully I can explain more and show more going back together. But once I've got this one apart, I'll get the 35 one. I probably won't film it. I'll get the 35 one over on a drum, because I've only got one bracket that I've made to hold this. These old tractors, you've got to be bloody rough sometimes. Let's try and get everything moving a little bit before we get serious. It seems to be turning in these free enough. This old penetrate, look at this dirty can. It seems to be really good stuff. So I'll come in once more and see if I can get a bit of movement there. There we go. Okay, so there's the pin. That's not doing too bad, really. Oh yes it is. See the wear marks through here. Ah well. I was wondering, like, that'd be handy if it had a little threaded hole so you could actually pull it out if you needed to. Okay, so this assembly here, that does the draft control. That pushes up in against the spring that I can't get out yet. And yeah, it just uses that shaft we just got out as a pivot to run the rollers on the cams, on the forks, I suppose would be the better word. Now this bloke goes up into the housing there a little bit, and yeah, he's pretty rusty. Anyway, we'll see what the other ones are like. You can buy some of this aftermarket. What Sparrex has in stock and that, I don't know. I haven't looked as yet. And then this big baby here, she can come out now. So there appears to be no splits or cracks around it. I'm just not sure. It has a spline here, and then it has another one inside. But there's no brakes that I can see. Oh yeah, there's actually a spline stuck in there. And the main reason we're probably not going to use this is where those rollers run down through here. We could probably weld that up or braze it up or something, but look, I think that one out of the other tractor will be a better one, so we'll just see at the time, eh? So that's that empty. Now, there's a couple of other little things. I haven't been able to move this spring at the back there that you can't even see yet. I'll move the camera back there again. I haven't been able to move this yet. When we when we wind this curl over, there's a bung there and a bung straight on the other side, and that's where you can test your pressures. We'll pull all that out and clean it out. Now on the top here we have a checked ball, so we'll actually that's just a takeoff port on this. So that's a takeoff port, so you can actually test the pressure there, there or there, and we still have to do battle with this back end, so I'll see how I go with that. I'll get the oxy set up and away we go. Now, I'm not going to quench this just because I don't want to quench all the casting and that really. That might cool the inner collar a bit. Sorry, Greta. Oh. Moving a little. Oh. We'll see. As it cools, it'll probably come better, I'm hoping. There we go. There we go. Oh, that can sit up there. Geez, that spring's rusty. There's the handle off my motor. Well, there you go, finally.